Hi, and welcome to the bench. Again, I have the pleasure of having an expert fly tyer and author, Skip Morris, on the bench. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Sparkle, Skip, Nymph.
Well
Is that
said.
correct?
That's right.
Excellent. Well, why don't we start tying and see how it looks.
All right. Well, this is one that, you know, the sparkle part, the Skip Nymph was kind of my signature nymph.
Okay.
And the sparkle part is to make it look like it's about ready to hatch. It's got all the gases, silvery gases and reflective shuck kind of outside it. And I start with a 1X long heavy wire hook.
Okay.
And I start the thread about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way up the hook. Then I use some fine copper wire. Get a good piece going there.
Okay.
And just bind that on there. Then wrap the thread down the wire to the bend. Now for the normal Skip Nymph, I would just use hare's mask or squirrel, something that's spiky and can create the legs on the nymph. This is the sparkle Skip Nymph, so I've got a sparkly blend here. I chopped up some very fine, you could use angel hair or light bright, one of these real fine bright dubbings.
Okay.
And I added silver, and I added a little bit of sort of a pearl, which is sort of a pearl, I guess, and some brown or bronze. And that gives a little bit of sparkle, and I just chopped it up and blended it in by hand.
Okay.
You can just chop it up on top and then do this
blend it
for
up.
a while.
Excellent.
And now I'm going to dub right from the bend of the hook up the shank and build a tapered abdomen. You want it fairly slender because this imitates a mayfly. This is pheasant tail, kind of a beat up one, but good pheasant tail fibers on there still. And since the fibers are all the same length, if I draw them out to a right angle to the stem, the tips are even.
Oh, good.
So then I just snip them off, and that's what
And it makes it easier instead of having to play with them after.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
So now you don't want to lose that, you know, once you
Exactly.
went to all that trouble. So you handle them carefully. But yeah, they won't, you can't stack them in a hair stacker, not as far as I know. Now I hold those on top, so I don't have any tails yet, but I'm about to. And I bind those right in front of the abdomen. And then I'm going to take a little piece of this kind of bronze or brown crystal flash or FLASHABOU.
Okay.
Either one is fine. And just double that over. And tie that in. I just looped it over, and I'm tying it in right atop the pheasant tail.
Okay.
Now I'm going to, you know, the easiest way I found to do this is to pull the FLASHABOU forward, take a turn the thread over, just to hold it out of the way.
Okay.
Now I've still got my copper wire on the spool, and so I'm going to cut that kind of long, and you'll see why in a minute.
Okay.
And this is one important point on this, is you want to take one turn of the copper wire before you do anything. Just take one turn into the dubbing.
Okay.
Then you grab these tips and you pull them down, and you take the second turn over the tips of the pheasant. And that creates the tails, which aren't quite done yet. Take about half those tips and tug them towards you, and half of them and tug them away from you.
Okay.
And then pull the copper wire a little tighter. But you don't want to make it as tight as possible. If you do that, you're liable to weaken the tips, and you lose the tails eventually.
All right.
Now, back off that turn of thread. The basic Skip Nymph is a little easier than this sparkle version, yeah. And take those two strands that are going back of the FLASHABOU or crystal flash, and just take the next turn over those. And now you've got a bright reflective back on the fly. So you've got the reflective qualities in the fly, in the thorax, or the abdomen so far, and then you've got them along the back as well. Now make, 5 to 8 ribs, and then you pull back all this stuff, butts of the pheasant tail and the rest of the crystal flash, and just bind it with the copper wire. Now if you make 3 quick layers of copper wire over that part of the fly, you have a lightly weighted fly.
Oh, great. Saves you from putting a bead on or anything else.
And I'm going to dub again, and I'm not going to bother to grab for the wax because it's a little faster this way. And you can be a little rougher this time because you're trying to get that thorax. And then just make a nice big full bushy thorax.
Nice and big,
yeah, this one's a little this one's
that.
plenty full.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. Well, they do get real puffy when they're coming up.
They do, that's true. Now, pull those fibers forward.
Okay.
And then get your thread over them and pull them down. That creates the wing case.
Oh, beautiful.
Now, take the FLASHABOU, and I'm just going to pull that forward over the wing case, and that'll add some more flash.
Okay.
And then bind that. Standard whip finish.
Ah, you never use the tools for whip finishing? Or
No.
you're too used to your hands now?
I think I might try them for display flies. Not that I'm in a big hurry to tie a lot of those anymore. But somebody pointed out it keeps your hands off the thread.
Exactly.
But for fishing flies, no.
Doesn't matter.
This is already here.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have to pick these
it's
up.
all available.
Yeah. Those fingers never go away. And then you just, now I'm going to pick up the ones over the back and snip them close. And the only couple things remain to be done, but that's about it. Pull about 3 to 5 fibers, just kind of push them out to each side, and then snip off the ones in the middle, and you've got those nice split tails like a real mayfly.
Exactly.
Because that's, I'm not a big believer in putting, everything on a fly. I mean, if you go putting eyes and lips and earlobes and everything, they're going to see that hook.
Exactly.
Before they're going to notice what color the eyes are. So now you've got your split tails, and those really do stay split. The only thing that remains is to put some, I use 2-part epoxy glue, not like rod builder's finish, but actual glue. Like you can get in a hardware store, or you can get it for rod building out of a fly shop. Put a little bit on the head, and then what I like to do makes this fly even tougher is you can, if you want to, it's optional. I do it when I put a bead in there, but you can actually put a little bit over the wing case and shoot it with a handheld hairdryer.
Oh.
It soaks in there, but I don't do it very often like this, but if I put a bead inside the thorax, then I do it because that hard bead, the teeth tend to cut against that hard bead and break the wing.
And it doesn't move around, it stays nice and solid for you.
Oh yeah.
Great.
That stuff's like plastic once
It
it
is,
sets out.
yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the sparkle skip nymph. Real easy to tie once you get used to it.
Great. Well, thanks a lot for tying it.
My pleasure.
I hope everybody out there tries the nymph. Try tying it up. Hey, it works great for skip, and I imagine it's going to work good for me. We'll try it out.
I hope so.